Well, howdy and welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us through that one. I hope you enjoyed your dinner because I enjoyed mine. I had a wrap. It was delicious. Accidentally ate someone else's. And we are back with the second half of the night here, the official English language broadcast of the Overwatch Pacific Championship. My name, of course, is Matt Pixie Carroll, and joining me throughout the rest of the night, and of course you've seen them before, Kevin Walker and Matt Smite Ross. Fellas, say hi. How are we feeling tonight?
How you doing? You have to see us one more time, and well, actually two more times. We've got two more matches to go. It's Fireball back to back, actually, fellas.
The Fireball half.
Yeah.
First half was the Sun Sister half. This is the Fireball half. I nearly said it wrong before. I said Flashball versus Firewall.
You've done that before.
Yeah, I've definitely done that before, but I'll just have to not do it this entire time. So, let's be honest, fellas. Flash Wolves have just come off the top of a win against Sun Sister. It was an expected one, but it was also a devastating one. Do we really expect them to just carry that performance through here against Fireball?
Yeah. I don't expect the result to be any different, but still very likely just going to be a 3-0. The question is, how much more information are Flash Wolves willing to hide? How much more experimentation is going to come out from them? Are we going to see Orisa Torbjorn again? Are we going to see a healer-less composition on the second point of Anubis? That one's a little less likely, but look, honestly, with this matchup, I feel like it's still an almost anything can happen situation.
Some funky stuff going on in that Sun Sister match.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exciting stuff.
To be honest, I think the most devastating game was actually Detonator and Sun Sister because that should have been a redemption for Sun Sister, or at least, you know, something from the Sun Sister camp, a good showing from them, but unfortunately still going 0-3. I mean, that's supposed to be their closest competition. What have they got after that? It's a really hard, tough loss.
And to be frank, we can't help but say they're not showing the same kind of improvement really as any of these other teams, including the other two that are still potentially within striking distance of them, being Detonator and Fireball. So let's kind of speak to the other one of those three teams here, which is of course Fireball, the team we're going to be seeing here. They have actually still showed more and more market improvement as the tournament has gone on. That hasn't quite reflected in the standings themselves, but can they really take a map off Flash Wolves here? I nearly did it, nearly said Firewolves. Caught myself beforehand. Can they take a map off
Yeah, you put yourself in the zone, unfortunately, but here we go. I'm going to say, unfortunately, no, I don't expect them to, and the reason I don't expect them to is obviously because Flash Wolves are looking fantastic right now, but more so than that, and I said this during the Flash Wolves versus Sun Sister game, but Flash Wolves are not willing to let anything go. They're not even willing to let you get a round, a stage on the control if they can help it. They're willing to experiment, but only up until they're at risk of actually losing.
They're almost taking the approach that Blank did at the very top, where they went, we want to try and not drop a single match here. Just quick thoughts from the coaches, though. Go ahead and jump on in.
那当然，也谢谢就是今天一直在场支持我们的粉丝。那谢谢你们帮我们加油，那我们会继续努力，谢谢。
All right, thank you very much to our fans for helping us get to the top. We're going to keep trying our best, so thank you for continuing to support us. Got Zelfix from Team Fireball as well.
Thank you.
Please enjoy again.
There it is. Nothing else needs to be said there.
So, yeah, let's kind of jump back on to where we were before. Blank had a goal at the top of this tournament to not drop a single map. That goal fell short of the mark in about week 2 or 3. Flash Wolves, they almost look like they could well do it in this second round robin.
I mean they can get the 7-0, but no one can actually get a full undefeated record anymore. That's completely out of the park.
Well,
you can get a record the other way around though, which is you don't win anything. But enough of that though. It's tough. It's tough. I'm trying to find a little bit of lightheartedness to it. But here's the thing: we're going to go into Fireball versus Flash Wolves now. Are we expecting Flash Wolves to go undefeated this round robin? I'm going to say yes. Their toughest competition is out of their way. Every other match now for Flash Wolves is an expected win.
And I feel like almost if they lose a map, it's going to be because they ran, you know, Orisa and no healers, and we were like, oh, they're hiding things.
But even then, right, I feel like we saw it in the middle of Nepal, actually, where Bacon Jack, he was bringing out a Reaper, and, you know, his Death Blossom got entirely eaten up by a defense matrix, as happens with that hero. So after that, Sun Sister had taken back the point, and that's when Flash Wolves said, all right, cool, let's actually just come back and really win this. They put him back on Tracer. The composition looked a little bit more solid and what we expect out of Flash Wolves, and they came back, took the point, didn't drop a stage. If that situation comes up again against Fireball, which it's a little bit more likely to because Fireball a bit more powerful right now than Sun Sister, if that happens, then I still think Flash Wolves will just be ready to turn around and say, okay, look, done experimenting. Let's go back to serious mode.
Maybe no more Reaper. Well, you can see their lineup on your screen there in case you need a quick refresher. But here, of course, is Fireball, Apudo, NZNR, Zalfix, Kurlos, Rocket, and Ninth make up the Thai team Fireball. And they're a team that is impossible not to like.
I know, right?
They're just so
You like them as people, and you like them as people, and you want to see some better results out of them, and they are now showing that as well. So hopefully now you can like the gameplay, you can also like them as just friendly players, and hopefully if you're on the other team, opponents as well.
And also, if you're the home crowd though, you're going to be cheering for the Flash Wolves because Flash Wolves, yeah, they're playing in their home country right now. Fireball, they're a little bit away from home. They don't have the crowd backing them as much, so they do play with a slight disadvantage, if you can call that one. And in live situations like this, yeah, it can end up feeling like that. So they're playing a little bit behind because of that, but at the same time, Fireball, yeah, they did improve. Yesterday, I think, was a good example of that. They handily dealt with the two teams they played, but the two teams they played were Detonator and Sun Sister.
Yeah, teams that everyone has handily dealt with, really. Here, of course, now Fireball will do the full rundown. I wonder what gag Apudo's going to run this time, unless he's right off the top. Normally when he's at the end, he's
Could just be a bit of misdirection, and there might not be a gag. He is...
Wait, is that...
Wake up.
His hair looked different for some reason.
He got hit by a sleep dart, so he's now just waking up.
Aww.
He's very tired, but he loves you anyway.
I think they've just chilled out on the gags a little bit.
What a sweetheart.
I'm actually really impressed so far with the way Kurlos has been performing lately. If you watched the games yesterday, you'll have noticed, in particular just Fireball, obviously it shows a lot against the Japanese teams who Fireball are now very comfortably beating, but they're comfortably beating them in a way where previously this was not a comfortable win for them. Previously, Sun Sister did take 2 maps to them in a best of 5 series. Previously, they did drop maps to Detonator as well. Now, Fireball are in a place where they are very handily beating these guys 3-0. So, I mean, this is about the rise of Fireball. Maybe it's a little bit late in the tournament, but if Machi can do it, Fireball look like they're heading in that same trajectory.
I think that's actually a completely fair assessment, right? And it's one of those things, it's really even hard actually to have any of these results show in the standings, unfortunately, because we're so deep in them, right? You have to win a significant number of games that the teams above you fail to win to really go passing people. And let's be real, all of these teams, I mean, their relative power levels are fairly well set by now. The only major exception to that this tournament has been Machi going from 3rd from the bottom now to 4th place. And that's only a move of 2 spaces, right? And then the rest has just been the jostling around that's happened in the top 3. But you're right, we have still seen significant improvement. So maybe it doesn't happen here, but you can't help but feel after this, Fireball are going to be a much more serious contender in the tournaments they go into in the future than they would have been at the start of this.
Of course. I mean, it's also going to be hard to judge their performance against Flash Wolves because if it's anything like it was against Sun Sister, it's going to be very different to what a lot of the other teams have been running, a lot less standard. So even then, even if Fireball do manage to pull out some kind of good performance, it's going to be hard to judge because how can you compare how they play against an Orisa Torbjorn composition compared to what every other team is running, a lot of dive, occasionally the Reinhardt shield composition. It's going to be very, very different. You can't really judge it. It's going to be, it'll show how they adapt to more unique situations for sure, but when we go into the next matches where it's going to be a little bit more important, especially in the 4th round robin as well, when they're playing teams that are a lot closer to their power level, like Hong Kong Attitude, even Machi as well, it's going to be hard to use this game today as a comparison, right? Because, like I said, very different if Flash Wolves repeat that performance.
I suppose the one we're really watching out for with Fireball is, of course, the Fireball Hong Kong Attitude matchup. That's probably the team most within striking distance of them right now. Map, of course, has come through as well, and we are going to be hitting up Oasis. Flash Wolves at the home side. This is their map pick. They will also pick the Assault map. And I want to ask the obvious, guys. Do we think we're going to see anything spicy here? Do we think we're going to be looking at, like, Reapers and Orisas and Symmetras? I don't know. What do we think we're getting?
Control is actually where it's a little bit dangerous for Flash Wolves to try too many off-pick sort of compositions. I think they're going to be staying a little bit safer than, say, when we get to hybrid escorts and assaults and whatnot. So Control is where, you know, Flash Wolves, I would say, are going to be more controlled with their lineup as well.
It might be flexing a little bit as well, because Oasis is another map where a few different combinations of heroes can come out. They might throw Zonda onto that Pharah, see how that works on Oasis. They might opt to keep him on the Soldier as well. It's been a pretty favored composition for them as well. But again, even on Control against Sun Sister, we did see Bacon Jack. He did bring out Reaper. That may come into play on Oasis. I think there's a little bit less room to fit Reaper in unless we're going to University. That is probably where you're going to find the most unique heroes coming out from Flash Wars today, if there are going to be any.
Yeah, that's where we tend to get, the odd Sombra and things like that. It's hard, actually, though, to call Sombra a weird pick at this point, because she does have a pretty well-established niche right now. I mean, we see Sombra actually in most of the series that we are going to, and sometimes it is on Control. Mostly it's on those Assault maps, but actually we see it. We see it very frequently. It's no longer this oddball, out-of-the-way pick. You're like, oh my goodness, they're running a Sombra. There is a very well-established place for her to be right now, I feel.
She's got a home. She has a home mainly on Assault with some
I've just seen it in Castillo.
With some fringe, yeah, she lives there. With some fringe sort of picks on some Control maps as well. So I mean, absolutely right with that one. It's still a weird one to see anywhere else. So if we are on Oasis, she may appear on University. Anywhere else, I'd say unlikely. Anywhere else, I'd say it is just going to be the standard coming out from both teams. And this is going to be, I want to be able to see where Fireball are, because if we're talking about their improvement, then we're talking about now them facing the #1 team so far based on rankings. How do they fit against this?
Yeah, it is one of those matchups that's all about that. It's, how much has this team improved? How far has this team come? And we know that they've already come a good long way. I mean, if nothing else, I actually just want to see them pull out a consistent performance in line with their recent ones, even if it goes badly. And actually,
good start.
So far going kind of nice. Rocket really with the aggression on. A lot of confidence coming out in that call. Getting an early pick. They do lose Kurlos, so there is the trade back. But Rocket is keeping on the pressure. Realman, no more to be done on the backline by him. Now they're starting to really turn on the heat to Jongi, who's taken out of the picture. They're actually going to get this first cap through. That was very well executed by Fireball.
And a very nice, clean retreat from Flash Wars as well, not losing too many members. This is important for Fireball because they denied the strength of Sombra straight off the bat. We're going to come in with an EMP, which, by the way, that's pretty strong from Flash Wars, getting that very quickly up without even health pack control.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this team comp as well. This is a team comp that gets very hard hurt by the EMP. There aren't actually any ultimates on the side of Fireball. Oh, good pick on Bacon Jack.
That's an important duel.
I think that's going to mean Flash Wolves might just hold tight for this one, and that actually crucially gives Fireball time to charge up ults. Never mind, big commit from Sinclair. They're already deep onto Kurlos. Treybeck does come through to Realman, but they're doing the cleanup now with Zalpix pressured out. No healers left for Fireball. They're not quite securing out these kills, trying to get Jongi and K-Momo. They do pick Zonda, actually. Now Fireball are kind of rallying around. Kurlos is on his way back to the fight, was able to get that orb up on a few crucial members, kind of keep them topped off, especially Rocket, and losing NZ and R at the back end of this isn't going to be too bad. If anything, Fireball absorbed that well and are now on the cusp of their ultimate.
Yeah, unfortunately, Flash Wars didn't get enough kills out of the EMP. Only Sinclair was the main damage dealer there. He picked up both of the kills. I didn't see Bacon Jack realistically. Zonda got picked out straight after that. Zonda's just been dying time and time again.
He really has. Perhaps a bit of over-aggression, really. Rocket now, good reaction there. Oh, great sticky though to come out of Pudo, looking to clean up this team. With this visor running, because lose it actually at the very end of that. Zonda really struggling to find something with this Dragon Blade now. And again, Fireball, that just seems to kind of, they're getting the kills through. I mean, that's really all this is coming down to. I'm not sure what exactly is happening with Flash Wars. It's almost like this slight mis-execution is being all the difference right now.
The aggression from Fireball is really important because they're shutting down the effectiveness of the Sombra. Flash Wars want to play control. They want to play a game right now, which is definitely by their pacing, and Fireball are not giving that to them. Zonda, again, you see the Dragon Blade. Nothing comes out of that. No chance for an EMP. Sinclair, he's got to find his moment, and so do Flash Wolves as an entire team.
They're really going to have to throw everything in the kitchen sink at this one, and all they've actually got to go off ultimate-wise themselves is the two from the tank. This is the EMP in position. Good position to get Kurlos as he was on the retreat, and this should be an opportunity now for Flash Wolves throwing in the self-destruct.
Only one kill?
Yeah, only one kill so far, and Zonda again going down very early. They are starting to get the hurt on, finally training down a Pudo, and they do look like they have the upper hand this time around. But my goodness gracious, Fireball first capped and then held all the way up to 99%. I mean, the ball is still in their end of the court, even with that fight loss.
That's incredible start from Fireball. 99-0 Flash Wolves. This is a massive deficit that they have to sort of bring back here. They are at advantage now in the sense that they finally have controlled the point. For the first time, they will have health pack control. They've been getting EMPs in without even health pack control. This is where Flash Wolves will look to bring it back. But Zonda, I'm still concerned for this player.
All right, Bacon Jack hunting for a good stick, finding a Pudo, eyes on him now, but the cap is back through the Fireball. What happened there, Flash Wolves? The bomb goes wide. Apudo is a little bit bogged down into this one, so he's not affecting the fight. But to be frank, neither is Bacon Jack. A good sound barrier, though, should tide Flash Wolves through this one now as we start to clean up on the healers and looking good to hold this one down. Fireball getting that cap through is really big, though, because even though Flash Wolves are winning, they're not getting any progress on the points.
You're going to have a lot of fun with the names tonight, I got to tell you that one.
This is going to be disastrous.
We're only on stage
We're
one
going to have
of
like
map number 1.
AH Ball Esports Club later tonight.
Yep. Fireball Club, let's do it. Fireball Esports Club. Anyway, Fireball's still in the lead. You're absolutely right, because while they flipped the cap over, Flashwolves got no progress during that entire fight. Now we're fighting in a moment where there's no EMP. Fireball do have the advantage in terms of ultimates. If they step on the gas pedal now, they might just be able to flip it back in their advantage again.
Look at this, NZ now trying to force Zonda off this high ground so that Apudo can take it. A good EMP comes out, but Zonda has been dealt with. They got K-Momo out of the mech, did lose Apudo, which was a little unfortunate, but Rocket is going hard on this point here. They're clearing
Jongi
out
has to stall.
It's only Jongi though. He's going to have to stall a lot, in fact. Sinclair really trying to hold down the fort, but he knows he's squishy. He can't commit too hard, and Ninth is keeping the pressure on Jongi, waiting for that ultimate to come out now. Haven't actually quite got the cap through, so this has been good for Flash Wolves. And there's the ultimate now from Jongi. The rest of the team will be able to regroup, and they actually do have an opportunity to start clearing up the Fireball members now with Rocket dropping down.
And another EMP.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. They've got this to go off now, and they should actually be pretty all right. This is looking a little bit more in control of Flash Wolves. That was a really good stall.
Really well played by Jongi. They're just managing to stay alive long enough, getting the hacked health pack as well, coming back up to then ultimate with the Primal Rage. Like I said, stalling, that's incredibly important. As soon as the cap flips over back in Fireball's favor, that's when Flash Wolves are on the back foot, because they stalled out so well. Now we're into overtime, 99-99.
That pulse bomb went wide. They do try and deal with Bacon Jack. They got K-Momo out of the mech. That's actually really big. By the way, they picked Realman at the top of this fight, so he's only just rejoining his team now. Make it a sound barrier, but this is a big window for Fireball.
Cap went over.
They've got the point through. They got the cap. Apudo opens up, finding Bacon Jack, and they're looking to clear this one out now with Realman and Jongi already out of the picture. K-Momo has just respawned, may be able to book it to the point if Sinclair can stall long enough, but even then, this is a self-destruction.
This is a trickle.
Yeah, that is absolutely nothing in Fireball. That was actually, like I said, it was their game to lose from start to finish, and then were still able to secure out the win, where I'll be honest, I feel they would have failed in the past. That was very smooth play by Fireball. They just figured out that Sombra cop.
Fireball are here to play, and if you're Flash Wolves right now, you know you've got a game on your hands. I know that Flash Wolves, they don't like losing. They're not willing to drop anything, not even a stage of control. So now, look, the game is on. Flash Wolves, they're saying, Fireball, you want to play? It is time to play, and I want to see Flash Wolves at their finest form. There's no more experimentation from them. It is only winning now. Zonda back onto the Soldier. He means business. Couldn't get anything done on the Genji. What's he going to get done on the Soldier now? If it was 5v6 before, now it's the 6v6, and it's a Flash Wolves 6v6, and all 6 of their members are now here.
Yeah, I wouldn't dare say that Flash Wolves weren't showing Fireball respect, but certainly Fireball were shutting them down, and now Flash Wolves are going to be going, look, no more Mr. Nice Wolf, right? That you're right, they don't want to lose again. Bad Wolf indeed. Apudo already taking ownership of this high ground along with Fireball. We've seen this actually fail for Flash Wolves before, opting to take the low ground and force the other team down rather than taking the high ground. But we now have to see if Fireball can leverage it. Bacon Jack trying to put on the pressure. They've dealt with Zonda though, and Bacon Jack is struggling.
Kill.
He can't seem to deal with Apudo on this high ground. He's constantly having to duck in and out. A good trade back comes through. Flash Wolves are technically the ones with the point, but Fireball are in position to commit to the low ground when they want. But never mind that. It kind of goes a little bit haywire as Rocket commits without the full support of the rest of the team. Now they're just kind of trickled onto this point, and this is plenty of time for Flash Wolves to regroup and get the point cap out.
This is still super even in Fireball. They don't have any point prisons. Yeah, you killed Zonda. You got Inzin and R traded straight after that. Fireball need to be able to convert the kills, and now they're losing supports. Where are the additional kills coming up from Fireball? You have the high ground control. Where's the low ground control? Because you still have to cap.
You absolutely do, and the only one on this point is Rocket. They're not going in a concerted, coordinated way, and they're not getting the kills in advance to allow it to just be Rocket and Ninth on the point. Now Ninth is about to lose his back. Actually, looks like he's just barely going to get healed up in time, but in any case, the cap went through to Flash Wolves. Look, Fireball, they were on the cusp of executing that properly. I can't fault them too hard, but at the end of the day, they really did not pull off what they were aiming to do, what you should be able to do when you have that high ground.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because they had a 50-50 sort of trade ratio. They need to be able to come out on top of that. They need to get more favorable trades. Still focusing on it. They get the kill again. That's important because now Fireball's opportunity to swing it back.
And look at the focus fire to deal with Jongi. There is only K-Momo now, and who's he really tanking up for, right? It's an immobile support and a Lucio. They are already struggling in this fight. fight, only just getting the trade back onto Apudo, but it doesn't matter. They've lost their tanks. Bacon Jack is not able to get into a good enough position for a pulse bomb, and even then, who does he try and
they're
stick
staying.
here?
Five
They
flash
want
walls
to
are staying.
commit here. That's a good sound barrier, but Fireball have one to commit of their own. Bacon Jack really struggling, and Zonda getting nothing through this tranquility in front of him, this transcendence, right? Rocket with the ult on the point. They haven't got the cap through yet, so this is good for Flash Walls in that regard, and now they are starting to get some kills through. I feel like Fireball didn't dig deep enough into the pockets. They died with ultimates available, and they were in enough of a position to actually close out that fight there.
And Fireball, they've pushed Flash Walls back so far, and Flash Walls, they have been pushed enough. They decided to commit to that. 2 support ultimates being used, extremely well executed. They knew they had control of the point. There was a moment where they had to decide, are we going to give this one up and repush? Are we going to commit to this and stay? And they stayed, and they're not gone just yet. 80% so far. Fireball, look, we had a 99-0 before. Flash Walls want to be 99-0 this time.
Yeah, and I think they won't want to let the cap go over to Fireball on like what happened last time around. Ended in R wide with the pulse bomb, forced way away from this one, and Apudo getting diddly squatted with the ultimate. Now, don't aim for the blinking sky-high tracer. Yeah, air bikes, there we go. Good commit by Jongi as well to force Apudo onto the low ground where he can be handily cleaned up and put out with trash here. Swept away, as it were. Ninth dealt with. No one here to contest this point, and this is going to go back over to Flyer Wolves. That was good.
Flying Bacon Jack Wolves,
yeah.
because the air movement coming up from here, just sort of dodging out Apudo was fantastic. What else was fantastic is NZNR's consistent ability to snipe out Zonda. How does this man do it so well, and where is the protection for Zonda? Maybe you need to play AHQ styles, maybe you need to play Protect the Dizzy. In this case, it's going to be Zonda in that position, and he needs to be valued, because right now it doesn't matter what he plays. He can be Genji, he can be Soldier, but he's getting sniped out.
And they've done that before. Yesterday, they were running Protect the Zonda. It was working wonders for them. And maybe this is just missed calls coming out of Flash Wolves. Maybe they're sitting there and Zonda is assuring them he's going to be fine, and then he's not. And they're kind of playing with that assumption, and it's kind of going a little bit pear-shaped. Granted, they did still pick up that last map. So whatever was kind of misfiring for them seems to have been tidied up a little bit, but Fireball did still have a good showing. Kurlos, though, getting picked at the start of this one. Bodes well for Flash Wolves. Opening skirmish can very much slide their way now. K-Momo getting his presence known on the point. Sending in the cavalry now in the form of the tanks. Rocket forced out of this one. And Flash Wolves, they are all over this point now, looking ready to cap.
Yep, Fireball members, one went down already. We saw that. You got a lot of low members on Flash Walls, but no kills secured out from Fireball, so this is already a very tough start. Apudo's going to get forced out really easy here as well. So in terms of positioning, it is all Flash Walls and Fireball. They're going to have to just lick their wounds. I'm glad they didn't take too many losses there. Just as I said, that NZNR is going to go down. So I mean, Fireball, you've got to be able to regroup here and recontest at a better time.
Yeah, and I mean, this is happening very consistently now for Fireball. It seems Flash Wolves have kind of tidied things up.
Apudo as well.
Yeah, they're constantly pressuring a single person at any given moment and really just kind of overwhelming Fireball. And Fireball shouldn't be getting caught in spots like that. They should be making it as hard as possible for the entire team to commit onto one of their members at a time.
Flash Wolves are angry, and for Fireball, they've really brought up Flash Wolves' final form here, which is really important because Flash Wolves, like, they look too comfortable against Sun Sister. Fireball are not going to give that same game to them, so Fireball got a real game on their hands, and this is the Flash Wolves that they wanted to play. They've got Bacon Jack, so now we got the opening that Fireball have wanted. Already 45% though, so they are working from behind.
And look at Zonda's positioning. He hasn't been contested too much. Now,
there's the contest.
Never mind that. That was good follow-up by Apudo actually to go in with Rocket, and now the commitment is trying to come through here. They're trying to force Apudo off this high ground, but they're really struggling to do it. They get Jongi out of the picture, and they're looking in very good shape on this one. Now sitting at the diva, actually K-Momo does get it. Minute sound barrier running. They want to commit to this. They've got the self-destruct, they've got the pulse bomb, they've got enough zoning tools that they can force Fireball off this one. And Fireball, they kind of lost the wind there.
Yeah, they did. You actually see Apudo, he lost a decent amount of time.
Out of there.
He lost a decent amount of time just sort of trying to snipe out Jongi. Someone else manages to get the kill, but immediately rushed down upon. So the tanks from Flash Wolves are just trading time onto Apudo. They're now really focusing him down as well. Look, you want to take down a soldier. Zonda will go down, but we're going to make sure Apudo goes down with him.
You know, Flash Wolves are kind of like Smokey the Bear right now. It's like you and only you can prevent Fireball from winning.
Well, I guess. I'm not going to lie, I'm not 100% sure on the reference, but I'll give it to you. I'm going to trust you.
I appreciate the trust, and already once again, Apudo being forced way out of this fight. They're trying to buy enough overtime for him to get back in, but again, good target selection, good focus by Flash Wolves, a lot of confidence in the execution here. They're looking more like themselves after, I don't know, maybe we'll just call that first map a slight hiccup. They should be able to secure out this fight unless something absolutely nuts happens. Enzid and I trying to keep it alive on the backside, but oh my, Realman gets it with a headshot. That's unfortunate, and they've still got enough to go on here. K-Momo now out with the ultimate to zone off Fireball as they try and come in for the recontest. Now going to completely neuter out
Matrix.
Apudo. Beautiful play by K-Momo. First the zoning, then deals with Apudo. He will get Realman and the mech, but they should still have enough mileage here. Now Zonda has his own ultimate. Hold on a second, no, Apudo, he wants to put the team on his back here. And it's actually going to work. He's got some wide, sturdy shoulders, as it turns out. It's not quite going to be a complete shutout. Fireball, they do have an opportunity, but Flash Wolves could just win this any moment.
If Apudo's massive backpack open up, everybody get in. It's time to bring back the point at least a little bit. Look, I mean, Flash Wolves were in this position before, and they brought it back into very even standings onto University. Fireball, they got a tall order ahead of them and already losing players, losing position, losing Apudo. Apudo has the backpack too. You can't lose that guy.
Yeah, again, Jongi, great on that one. They do get a good trade back by dealing with Zonda before he vises as well, but NZNR, he's not having the same kind of impact here. He was forced off to the side. Realman, he's going to go down to the self-destructive. He's not careful. Not even that, actually. Zalf's rather going down. Adds the cap back through to Flash Wolves, and it is looking well set to go up 2-1. No backpack is quite big enough for that one.
Oh man, Flash Wolves, what I got to say about this team is their control of having possession of the cap is so good. I mean, they just do not give it away until, you know, the only time they actually lost it there on Gardens was when, like, Apudo came in pretty big. Even after having his tag visor absorbed Fireball, they came in, they got a generally good wipe. I'm not going to say a full wipe because they got roughly 4 members, maybe 5 members out of that. It was enough for them to bounce back, but otherwise, Flash Wolves, they know absolutely how to stay in control, keep that position of the cap. They do not give it up. Now we're back on a University. Fireball, they've already won this one. They beat the Sombra composition before. Flash Wolves, they're not going to change anything up. They're going to try what they tried before. It didn't work for them last time, but they're confident it will work this time. We'll find out.
Yeah, and you know, that thing with Zonda, sorry, with the Apudo rather, like that just happens, right? That happens to every team at times. It doesn't matter how quote-unquote good or bad the other team is. Like, that can just happen. So I can't even say that as discrediting Flash Wolves' total control. But here again, having to take the time for the Sombra setup. Fireball, other ones getting in the convincing position. And again, dealing with Bacon Jack off the top of this one. They're pressuring the tanks on this top side. Sinclair does not have his stuff charged up well enough. And it feels like Fireball, they just know how to deal with Sombra comps here. I feel like that's what this is coming down to, and Flash Wolves are feeling a bit silly to not change that up after losing this the first time around.
It's less of a compositional thing and more of a playstyle thing. What Fireball are doing is they are getting aggressive quite early. They are finding the pickouts quite early. Last time it was on Zonda. This time it was on Bacon Jack. But every time it has been on one of the key DPS plays. Now you got respawners from Flash Wolves, but the point has already gone over to Fireball.
Yeah, this is now the Flash Wolves strike back, I suppose. Getting some good pressure on, and there we go. Finally getting the cleanups through. It was looking a little bit dire for them for a moment there. And this time it does seem Flash Wolves have stabilized, got the Sombra working. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast with Sombra, is that first fight can feel a little bit like a 6v5. It's after you've got set up that you can have a much bigger impact. Last time, Fireball did a good job of keeping that shut down basically the entire match. This time, though, Flash Wolves have got their feet a little earlier.
Well, this is exactly how Sombra comp works, right? You need to be able to shut Sombra down early before she can get her EMP, before she really comes in. That's where Fireball has been successful. Both times at University, they win the first fight. Last time, they kept that pressure going. Unfortunately for them, though, Flash Wolves, they've gotten a little bit better. They learned, got a little bit wiser. Now they're the ones in control at this point. EMP ready to go. 6 ultimates as well.
Yeah, they are looking very good. Already good open out for Zonda, finding NZNR. That is much better than the Dragon Blades we saw first time around a University, and well coordinated with that EMP so that no one had any tools to mitigate it. That is going to be Knight kind of throwing out his ultimate almost as a platitude. He's sure to go down here. Not sure I agree with that being used up, and Flash Wolves, they still have so many in the bank.
Exactly, and for Fireball as well, this is not the way you want to be, I want to say, wasting ults, because you need every single tool you can get to get back in this game. You're not too far behind just yet, but just wait. I mean, the timer does go down, and this time for Fireball, there hasn't been a sneaky cap, there hasn't been a sneaky flip over, so they are losing time.
This is going to be the commit now, a very early sound barrier, but they do pick Realment, looking to pressure Singler, but Bacon Jack strikes back, and that's going to completely cut out Fireball for this one. And wow, that wasn't even a ton of ultimate to use for Flash Wolves, that was just the Pulse Bomb, just dealt with it all.
I'm going to need a little bit more for Fireball, that is, because, you know, they've been sort of half spending ultimates, half saving ultimates, half committing, and unfortunately, half commit is not going to get you into this game. Flash Wolves already an EMP back into this. No DPS ult just yet, but they're so far ahead. There goes EMP, they're just going to go anyway.
Yeah, going very deep, very aggressive, taking the fight to Fireball, making sure it stays well away from the point so that even if things go pear-shaped, they would get as high as 99%, but they don't even need that, right? They've already got this fight on complete lockdown and the point as well. The overtime set ticked down, and don't call it a comeback. Let's say that first map was a bit of a hiccup. Fireball, good showing. Let's be honest, let's give credit where credit is due, but Flash Wolves, they are looking like their regular old selves.
Yeah, I don't want to take anything away from Fireball because they played that first University exactly how they needed to play it. How do you beat the Sombra on University? You got to get aggressive. You got to start the fight early. Do not give time away. Do not allow the health pack control to begin for Sinclair. Do not allow the EMP to come in early. That is exactly how Fireball played. Denied that area, denied health pack control, got the picks early and converted that into a cap. And they just snowballed that from then on and didn't lose it up until, what, 99%?
I think another thing that you just mentioned as well, getting the picks at the start. There were so many times where either Zonda or Bacon Jack were just picked off at the start of the fight. And even on the very last round, Bacon Jack taken out at the start of the fight, right? And that's something that is a little bit messy for a Tracer. That can be quite hard to ever be in a position where you are realistically going to die. The fact that Fireball picked up on that one small window of opportunity, picking up the kill there, that's fantastic. Unfortunately for them, they didn't end up winning the fight, but in other cases, that was what won them a lot of fights. On the first University, on City Center as well, they got to pick up the Zonda straight away. Now, there were times though when those things happened, but Fireball ended up not winning the fight. So it is showing a lot of resilience in Flash Wolves that you can't just kill one DPS and expect to win the fight.
And I would maybe chalk up that first one to maybe even a little bit of overconfidence, not on the part of Flash Wolves as a whole, but maybe just on the DPS. I mean, they were in some odd positions at times. Bacon Jack was getting a bit too aggressive. Zonda on that Genji, bit of the same as well, and wasn't really going in for those Dragon Blades at ideal times. He was often being, I feel, a bit too preemptive, going in very aggressively rather than waiting for EMPs first, rather than waiting for that setup, and that did get punished. And I think there was maybe a moment in there where they, as players, probably sat there, took a deep breath, and went, all right, let's just slow down, let's just play proper, let's just play normal, you know, not get overexcited about it, which actually does speak to a strong discipline there from Flash Wolves. And that is a discipline you need if you want to be a top team, you know, you've got to be able to drop maps and recover.
I'm going to say that Flash Wolves, look, they were probably a bit shocked at the beginning, at the opening of Oasis there, but I don't want to give it away to say it was a hiccup at all. I want to say that Fireball absolutely played it the exact way they needed to play it. That was all them. All credit goes to how Fireball executed on University. They played it the exact way they needed to play it, specifically against what Flash Wolves were bringing to the table. Now, the other maps were a little bit more one-sided, but that was only sort of apparent in the actual scoreline, which was 100-0, and then basically another 100, a bit of a flip over. But other than that, you know, it was essentially two 100-0s. Even when we look at the two other maps that we saw on Oasis, though, there was a lot of resistance coming up from Fireball. They did not make it an easy journey for Flash Wolves whatsoever, forcing out fights multiple times and making sure that Flash Wolves were on their toes.
Yeah, I mean, look back to what Flash Wolves did to Sun Sister. So many fights, it was just kill feed was all Flash Wolves, right? They were just getting 6 kills the whole time, maybe dropping 1 or 2 players, barely using ultimates. In this, it was trade backs coming from Fireball. Flash Wolves were using their ultimates, and even if, like you said, the results might say 100-0, 100-20, doesn't matter because Flash Wolves were having to fight tooth and nail for a lot of those fights and having to get not just even fights, but like trade backs. They'd lose Zonda at the start of the fight and say, okay, we have to go and get a Pudo now to even this up at the best.
I think the thing is, I mean, yesterday was really hard to actually judge the relative power level of Fireball. Let's be frank, they played the bottom two teams in the standings. They were both expected wins. Anyone playing those two teams has that result expected. Let's be honest, let's not beat about the bush with that. But I would still say Fireball have impressed me today in how much they have actually improved. And we did say that they have improved. We had evidence of them already improving, but this is a big step up, a really big step up. To look this good against the current front runner of this round robin, it makes you really wonder how they're going to look when they come up against Hong Kong Attitude. I think they may have already played matchy, but you know, it makes you wonder how they're going to look against them in the next round robin. Again, this may never end up getting reflected in the standings, but Fireball, I'm almost ready to give them a most improved award at this point.
Oh, you know, they'll be competing for that award with Machi, but I got to say, I'm looking forward to the next map because although Fireball they didn't win Oasis, they haven't drawn blood against Fireball. Sorry, they haven't drawn blood against Flash Wolves.
We're all doing it, it cursed us.
I mean, it would surprise me if they haven't left Flash Wolves battered and bruised as we head into the hybrid, because this is now Flash Wolves coming in and saying, it's not going to be a free win for us anymore. We have to be able to pull out all the stops to actually win this one comfortably.
And it's going to be Fireball's pick. And I actually think this is going to be quite a significant thing here, right? Because Flash Wolves, they're probably sitting there and going like, wow, at least that was our map pick, right? At least they didn't take us to Ilios and like really shook us up or something. And then they're going, oh, and now this is going to be their pick. How's this one going to go? What are they even going to pick? Where are we going to end up? Now, look, I don't think Fireball are going to go to anything like Numbani. We know that Flash Wolves are solid at that. Know that they're good at King's Row. I could see them doing something like an Icon Voldo. I could really see them doing that. I could maybe even see them pulling a Hollywood.
I want to also motion something as well, which is essentially, this is now the death of the Apudo team, the Apudo carry team, because Apudo is no longer the one that seriously needs to carry this team. Let's take a look at the other members, because NZNR specifically time after time snipes out Zonda, even wins duels against Bacon Jack. That is unprecedented from teams coming up against Flash Wolves.
And we identified that as one of the biggest strengths specifically of AHQ and Flash Wolves. For AHQ, it's Dizzy, and for Flash Wolves, it's Zonda. But it's not just Dizzy and Zonda. When they're taken out of the fight, assuming there is an even trade there, which there tends to be because the team is good, the rest of the team can still execute well. It's not you pick the one guy and the team crumbles. That's the mark of a good team. And I talked about this the other day. Every team has superstar players on it, some more so than others, but the difference is some of those teams leverage it and then can still do fine on their own. They're not all about that one player, and the game plan isn't just give Lionel Messi the ball, right? The game plan is let's all play a game of Overwatch together, and Dizzy is better at Soldier than their Soldier is. And you're dead right. Fireball, they're now doing the same. And that in and of itself, I think, speaks to that most improved we're talking about.
And to speak on NZNR specifically, right, you may have said, like, it's kind of hard to gauge yesterday's performance from Fireball because, yeah, it's against the Japanese teams. Yeah, they're the bottom of the table right now. Everyone's going to be 3-0ing them. Everyone has been. But during those series, I'd say NZNR stood out to me the most. Yeah, Apudo was doing pretty well himself. He usually does. But NZNR is just marketably much better than he has been in previous weeks. And coming in tonight, we're seeing the same thing. It's not like that was just a great game from him yesterday, but tonight he's doing fantastic. Where are we going, Pixie?
We're going to King's Row. That is where we're going. So this is interesting. This is Fireball's pick. I wonder if this is almost a kind of middle finger to Flash Wolves, actually, because this is a Flash Wolves map. Let's not forget that. I mean, they, from the start of this tournament, have been the best King's Row team. I mean, every team is decent on King's Row, but Flash Wolves just that little bit more so than everyone else.
Just got to touch on one thing about King's Row is the third checkpoint. Quite often, it's not necessary, but quite often we'll see teams swap up to Reinhardt compositions just to move the payload all the way to the end. You're in that indoor area, and it happens on defense too. The fact that Fireball picked King's Row knowing that this is something that teams do means either they're still very, very confident in their rocket on Winston composition, or they're ready to adapt and bring him out on the Reinhardt when they do get the third checkpoint.
I was actually going to touch on that. Yeah, I mean, it was the weakness at the top of this tournament, and the thing that started making them look good to begin with was getting rocket on that Winston, working all that out. And we were saying at that time that they needed to do that to tide them over while they worked out these other things. shored up their other weaknesses, and also shored up Rocket not really doing so great in the Reinhardt. And we had started to see some of his Reinhardt in recent weeks.
We
So I'm
have,
very
and
excited for this.
specifically, I believe it was on King's Row
It
that
was,
we have
you're
been
right.
seeing that Reinhardt come out. Now, I don't want to be able to say I'm comfortable with it just yet. I don't even know if Fireball are comfortable with it just yet either. But they must have something prepared for this because it is their pick. They have picked King's Row. They do know that, look, this may be the map where they have to bring out a Reinhardt. They're either ready and willing to bring out the Reinhardt, or they're confident enough to not even go there at all, and Winston still is the go-to.
We will have to find out, to be sure, and at this point, I wouldn't feel too off about it. If Rocket swaps over to the Reinhardt, I'm not going to go, oh, we'll have to see how this goes. I'm just going to go, look, they've swapped to the Reinhardt, because I've got a lot more confidence in this team now than I think I've ever had before. I still don't know if I expect them to even pull a map out, but they are looking good.
If they don't pull a map out, this will be one of the most impressive 3-0s I've ever seen against Flash Wolves, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen Blank quiver a little bit more than this against Flash Wolves so far, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Off of one map. I don't want to speak too soon, but off of one map, that's been the case. Here we go, map number 2.
Right, hello. NZ are now going to be on this Widowmaker. They're looking to take this kind of slow and steady approach. Had the Hanzo out to get that bit of scouting. So they've spotted out this team comp. They know that there are plenty of good squishies to be targeting and getting right on with the pressure. They know that they can just circumvent Jongi and K-Momo here. Look for those picks on the back line.
Standard play coming for Fireball. Only change up that they really make is putting a Pudo onto Genji. Well, he's no slouch on the Genji either. This is now them looking for a little bit of opening. We did see Inzinar poke around the backside. Maybe Bacon Jack has to be... No, excuse me. We have a first target. It is Realman. Kurlos gets that kill.
And Bacon Jack has nowhere to retreat to now. The Ana couldn't quite get the eye lines to him. Good pressure onto K-Momo, and they are all over this point now. The only one at risk of going down is Rocket, but they've got him well covered. And that's a really clean fight from Fireball.
Jeez, this is calculated. And I want to tell you something about Kurlos because I pointed this out already, but he's one of the players that I think has seriously stepped up. We talk about Inzinar getting the results, but look, Kurlos on the back line has been fantastic.
How do you put a mech to sleep?
I don't know. You depower it, you EMP it.
Yeah, sorry.
But then even the EMP and the hacks don't do
Sorry to
it.
interrupt you there.
That's a sick as
oh
well.
Oh my goodness. Sinclair out of the picture. No nano boost available for this. Even if they get the tag visor up. Again, Kurlos keeping himself fine. Oh, that was gross though. That's one Helix rocket. Yeah, that Helix rocket is completely swung to fight now. Fireball gonna have to lick their wounds from it, and Flash Wolves will get a few ultimates up for this defense. This is very breakable though.
You mess with Zonda. Zonda angry. Big rockets coming out of this guy, but look. There's been some great momentum coming up for Fireball. They are getting stopped up just a little bit here. Look for the tag visor on the back line. Someone's going to have to deal with this. Knight already there. Look, he's preemptively there. He's there before I even said it.
Oh, that was so beautiful as well. He got Zonda low, ducked up before he died, and Apuda was there ready to clean that up. That was so beautiful. Now Fireball,
next, maybe.
with this sound barrier running, looking well set to clear this one out with the Realman pick. Bacon Jack hard pressured.
They nanoed.
They nanoed as well, so that is off the table. Fireball have broken this hold, they've broken the old economy, and that was totally red. They knew all about what Zonda was up to and absolutely shut it down.
And now we got tools from Fireball as well. We got both DPS ultimates, a tank ultimate, and a defensive support one as well. Fireball are ready to fight. Flash Wolves, they're looking a little bit short. They might tag Visor here, but it will go up against a lot of resistance. I expect Flash Wolves to maybe contest this cut. Look, they're getting ready for it now. They want to start a fight, and we're gonna get a fight.
Where we are, and already they're on the back line because they were set up. That is the self-destruct out, but it's been dealt with. K-Momo is now down out of the picture. No further mech. Zonda finally gets his tag visor dream, but even then, mostly it's getting stopped up. But Jongi with the pick on Kurlos. Fireball are losing time, they're losing resources, and Naputo didn't quite find enough with the Dragon Blade. So Flash Wolves, they will be able to respond with this fight, but I don't feel like they won it because they had an advantage or anything like that. I mean, that was just out-frag, but that did not feel comfortable.
This is the first time, I gotta say, in the entire series, Oasis included, where I feel like Fireball really dropped an advantage like that. Where What happened to the Transcendence out of Kurlos? That's a big question from me. I know we didn't see it, but that should have been used to counteract the attack visor from Zonda. Now, the fact that Zonda still got the amount of kills that he got out of that, we know what happened to Opura. He got blocked out by the self-destruct. He had to hide, so okay, cool. His Dragon Blade only got the 1 kill. Everything else, though, I'm not too sure of coming out from Fireball.
Oh dear, again, good pressure onto Zonda. That is going to force out a ton of healing. They throw out the Nano Boost as well. Oh, good pick onto Kurlos. Bacon Jack finally looking a little bit in his element here. Enzid and I don't know if I quite agree with that ult commit because this is not swinging the way of Fireball. They do have enough members of Flash Wolves low, though, that if they get a couple of picks
Rocket's
now...
committed as well.
Yeah, they get a couple of picks now that they can actually close this one out. So maybe this is a good time to commit. They got the sound barrier. Oh, they don't quite... There we go, just barely saving Ninth with that. Actually, don't quite save the mech, which is a little unfortunate, but Bacon Jack now closing that out with that Pulse Bomb. It doesn't look like Fireball are going to break this hold just yet, and they've committed a ton of resources for it. They're starting to look just a little bit less clean than before.
Fireball got to look for an opportunity to charge here because Flash Wolves are well ahead now. They have enough stall pressure out. They have got 2 defensive, they got 2 support ultimates rather, and they have the tank ultimate as well. So Fireball are not going to be able to win off this push, not with the current tools they have. If I was a Puro, I may look to save here at the same time. If you can get both the defensive ultimates out, this could be good.
They've already got the pick onto Kurlos again. Like I said, Bacon Jack looks a little bit more in his element. That is the second time in a row he's picked Kurlos at the start. I feel like Fireball now have to try and bait out some ultimates, but Flash Wolves, they're not giving it up so easy.
They can only do that for 1 push, though, at a minute 35.
Yeah.
But if they can bait, they can bait and go for 1 push,
Ooh.
and then they have to commit. And whatever they have, they got to be ready to go with it. Maybe another pickup from Engineer is exactly what they need. So far, he's still been able to snipe out Zonda. This may be their entry, their meal ticket to get this cap done.
Yeah, they've really got to try and catch something good here. They do have a good run of resources, but this is going to be as close as they get to an even fight, and they are still a few ults down.
Kurlos.
That is once again 3 fights running now. Like I said, Bacon Jack. He's not just in his element. This is Bacon Jack's planet now. We're just living on it. Zonda also getting the open up deals with Apudo. That's going to be really the last great opportunity for a push out of Fireball. They have another window here because they didn't commit too many ults.
Oh, there's one committed out from Engineer. Now, that is the one I got to question. The one from before, I'm not too sure. It was kind of a 50-50. Rocket committed into that as well. So whatever, Fireball, they want to go for that fight. This is now the fight for Fireball where they have to go. All the stops here.
Bacon Jack is still in behind them. They haven't quite sniffed him out yet. You can tell he's going to go forward, get a pulse bomb onto Kurlos if he can. Look at him, he's teabagging in advance. Ninth has spotted him though, and they should know. They should know about this now. They can't let him get away with it. Going to throw out the Tranquility early, the Transcendence. But look, it's already been an open up here now for Apudo. He doesn't find much more. And the pulse bomb still finds Kurlos in spite of everything. Good sound barrier to extend this fight now for Fireball because they have to commit to this one, whether they like it or not. Bacon Jack still ducking and weaving, completely unanswered for the time being.
It's not over.
And now they've got Zalfix. It isn't over, sure, until the fat lady sings, but I don't even know if Fireball can still really do this. They're getting very high pressure.
Yes, they
finally
can.
dealing with Bacon Jack. That is the last thing they really needed. There's still a good bit of payload distance here, though, and they don't have a good run of members here. They are looking a little bit worse for where they don't have ultimates. They're barely getting the mech back for Ninth. Flash Wolves, they can actually gun it and try and contest this if they really want.
The only person that can do that is K-Momo. He's not even close at the moment.
Smart
He's standing by. They are going to try and get themselves a 3rd point hold. And look, if you struggle to get the Streets phase, this may be another struggle. Yet Fireball, they need to focus on trying to get a bit of momentum moving forward. The pulse bomb from Engineer, again, may be the ticket they need to get through here. They got a couple of bins, and this is where Flash Wolves want to make their hold.
Early nano boost to come out. I believe that was thrown onto Jongi, who did actually get very pressured down, but good follow up by K-Momo. And again, dealing with Kurlos, they seem to have identified the MVP, as it were, and now looking very well set up for this fight. Fireball, they've only really got opportunity for one more good fight. They do have an okay run of ultimates. They should get the Transcendence during the next fight as well, but it's not going to be an easy win from here.
That was an important fight for Flash Wolves because they needed to set the dominance. They needed to set the ground control here,
cut the momentum,
getting their ultimates up on board, because if they had lost that fight, it would have been the charge for Flash for Fireball. And now this is going to be the final charge going in.
Deep onto Zonda. That cuts the tack buys right out of the picture. Apudo. There we go. The backpack is back on, and it's looking even bigger than before. Ends it enough. He only finds K-Momo with the bomb, getting the mech tech out, but that's the momentum they need. They need to get some ults up quick. Smart, though, about to get the Primal Rage, will have the self-destruct, and they need to get Flash Wolves as they come out of the base. Jongi will be able to buy a lot of time. They are going to be able to get this payload very close to the point on overtime, though. NZN are getting taken out, though. Jongi already starting to carry his weight alone. Rocket forced to commit the ultimate. Now the self-destruct come out to zone, and they are struggling to get this payload a whole lot further. This may be where Flash Wolves make their stand.
Double sound barriers coming out now. Only one ultimate left. It is self-destruct coming up from both teams.
He gets onto though.
Again, getting picked on.
That's so big.
Kill.
NZNR has actually had enough time to get back into this fight. Sure, they dealt with Rocket, but look, they can keep getting members in. They're still getting trade kills, and they've actually got distance on the payload. Ninth has it on lockdown. He's buying time. Unfortunately, NZNR did just get picked out. Apudo might just have to try and one-man army again, but it's not looking promising. They have finally found the position to hold it, but that payload went further than it ever should have against Flash Wolves.
A lot of credit goes out to Fireball for that. I mean, I think they really struggled in the streets phase. That first point, though, was so clean out of them. They got exactly what they needed. So patient, just waiting for the opening. Moving forward inch by inch, covering the ground, forcing the ground out of Flash Wolves, and then they get it onto Realm, and then they convert on the Bacon Jacket. It was all over after that.
Yeah.
6v4. This would be a situation had another team have done that. Doesn't matter. Flash Wolves, even 4v6, they're going to get the fight win back. They'll trade you back twice as much. You want to take 2 from us? We're going to take 2 from yours with interest. But no, not against Fireball. Fireball get that cap so clean, and only at the end of the streets phase did they start to really struggle.
Yeah, I mean, they had great momentum. I will say, though, once I nearly did again. Once Flash Wolves had robbed them of that momentum, once they had found a point to kind of slow them up, in fact, stop them up completely, it did take a very long time for Fireball to find their legs again. Once they did, again, they didn't quite go full on with the momentum again. Flash Wolves did stop them up a second time, but the clock was too short to really have momentum be a major factor there anyway, and they still pushed it through as far as they did. Like I said, I feel like by rights it should have never happened.
And the swing fight for Fireball was the one where they came in with roughly, what was it, 4 or 5 ultimates against 2, including the Dragon Blade. We saw what happened with that. He went for the kill onto K-Momo. He got the kill onto K-Momo, but had to run due to the self-destruct, and that's when Tyke Visor came out of Zonda in the back lines, cleaned up 2 kills. And I still got a question right now, where and what happened to the Transcendence from Kurlos, because from that point onwards, he was just fodder for Bacon Jack.
Here you go. This is interesting now. Triple tank out of Fireball. That does mean Rocket on Reinhardt will get scouted out by Bacon Jack. Or maybe not. That was an interesting Sonic Arrow. Or absolutely nothing with that one.
This is a change-up. This is a really good adaptation.
Change-up.
They know exactly what they're going up against.
They've spotted it out. They've figured it out. Now looking ready to go in on this one. The real tell is going to be how much weight Ninth will be able to pull, I feel, on this area.
You know, we've spoken about this already, but Rocket onto the Reinhardt, I am interested. I don't want to count him out. I don't want to doubt Fireball, not after what we've seen already. But he has been a question mark over the Reinhardt, and I need that to be answered. Fireball need to be able to answer that question if they want to win this.
Already doing a decent job actually of at least not giving Zonda free reign, but they're not actually having an easy time themselves. Good pressure onto Rocket, and there we go. Question answered. Now they route out Ninth. They took their time to get set up, but the moment the window is there, Flash Wolves, unsurprisingly, absolutely pounce on it, and they're looking well set to close out this point.
And if Fireball can get a clean first point cap, so can Flash Wolves, and Flash Wolves maybe even more decidingly as well. This is going to be Flash Wolves now pushing through a little bit of momentum, a couple of ultimates coming up online, and a big change up now from Fireball because look at their composition. They want to mirror this, at least somewhat.
I think the big difference here is Fireball did actually retreat much more cleanly than I think Flash Wolves did, in my honest opinion.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I agree.
Swapping up to this Tracer now I think is interesting because they haven't put Ninth back on the Diva, they're keeping that on the Zarya, and that kind of stopped their opportunity to defend at the Archway because the Diva took a long time to actually reset.
Well, they give up a little bit of peel, but they do get a little bit back in the form of Kurlos on the end as well. Here comes the engagement.
Yeah, Zonda's looking for that Dragon Blade, nearly has it. Now ready to open out as they've already forced Fireball back, but great answer by Rocket. They do unfortunately lose their Zarya, so the pressure can continue from Flash Wolves. Naputo getting taken out means that this is already the momentum in favor of Flash Wolves. Now Fireball were already on the retreat before that pick came through, and honestly, not killing Zonda wouldn't have really changed a whole lot.
As you said last time, Fireball managed to get out with minimal losses. This time, well, 5 of them went down. It's really
Oh, dear.
unfortunate for their defense. Bacon Jack setting up early forward positioning with Realment as well. This one's really interesting. This is kind of like a 2-man hit squad of Fireball. Apudo, he finds it.
He does, but he's able to back out in enough time. But never mind, NZNR goes straight back in for it. He was really hunting for Realman. Apudo did at least close that one out, so you can maybe call that even, but Fireball, actually, they're pressuring out Sinclair. No, they lose Apudo, never mind. Zondo did get the opportunity to open up, and Sinclair was able to keep himself nice and tidy there. Good ultimate out to buy some time from Rocket, but I don't know if I quite agree with it. Ah, disgusting. K-Momo, how often does he do that? He seems to be the most consistent diva at getting those multiple kills with the self-destruct, and Flash Wolves, they're not going to get
Pretty
stocked
sure that's
up.
Lazy Titan you're thinking of, but...
This could actually, well, he doesn't too. But in any case, not going to get stocked up anywhere near as long as Fireball was stocked up for.
And that's a big difference. Both teams had a really clean first cap. Only one team has a very clean Streets phase, and now heading into the 3rd checkpoint with so much time under their belts. We had started with 5 minutes going to cap number 3. This is now a huge mountain to climb for Fireball. They didn't have much time themselves. The Flash Wolves have so much.
The Nano Blade, and he goes straight for the Diva. Where have we seen that mistake before? And this is going to be absolutely nothing gained by Apudo. Flash Wolves, the momentum stays on their side as Fireball clean themselves out of resources. Going to take out 9th as well. Good, huge trap there. Jongi, he is not happy.
Angry Monkey, angry Flash Wolves. They don't want to give this up. They want to make sure everyone knows just how good Flash Wolves are. Even now, this is a little bit of, it is a bit of a gentleman's duel. Sleep Dart does get dodged, which is very nice. And look at this area control on the front lines. It's so good out of Jongi.
Pounces onto Apudo. Zonda goes in and deals with the backline. Flash Wolves, they're looking to secure this. They're going full no nonsense about this. They're looking at Flash Wolves going, yeah, nice job, well done, but you know what? We can still do it better, and that they absolutely
even
can.
a Sleep Dart.
Yeah, as NZNR gets absolutely slammed dunked. Zonda even takes a dive for style. Flash Wolves, they get the cap through. Pick up Kings Row. That was clean.
That's a real tough one. It's a real tough one for Fireball.
Actually, I'll tell you what, if Fireball were clean, that was squeaky clean. That was like fresh out of the shrink wrap.
If we're going to talk about clean, let's think about Fireball for a second, because they do look a lot more polished than before. But underneath that polish, unfortunately, you do still get some remnants of the old Fireball in there. A little bit of the rust on the car still shows. It's a little bit of a problem, because for all the great things Fireball have done, the few moments on the Streets phase in particular that really let them down, and that first cap. Maybe the question is, look, maybe Rocket or Reinhardt is still not working for them. Whatever they're doing with that shield composition, it's not ready for Flash Wolves yet. Maybe it's ready for a different team, but they got to go back to the drawing board on that one.
So a few things. I'll talk about Fireball's defense first, which you were just saying the Reinhardt defense composition clearly did not work out for them. And I feel a part of that was 9th. He was sitting up in the balcony, up in the window, along with Apudo on Soldier. They had 3 people up there, right, just to make sure that they were not dived. And, you know, usually thinking about that, that's a key target for a lot of teams, take out the Soldier first. But the thing is, Knight can fly up there at any time. I'd say he'd be better off down on the ground, blocking out any damage that's coming from behind to the side, anything that's trying to take down Rocket and his shield and his health bar, because you saw by the time he had to charge back into his team, that's right, charge back into his own team to survive.
Why was he that far forward though?
Exactly. Too far forward, constantly flanked, barrier going down, and then half health by the time he did it. He was being flanked. Imagine if he had 9th down there, just defense matrixing, making sure that he could stay alive.
Actually, I just have to jump in with a quick correction, because actually, 9th was running the Zarya. They did still have a Diva, but it was NZNR. And actually, I think that made a big difference, because we saw 9th on Diva when they were on the attack, how well he and Apudo both actually dealt with Zonda when he was looking to get that very cheeky position in the backside, had set it up, they'd done everything right, and I feel like 90% of teams, heck, even teams that are above the standings compared to Fireball, would have fallen prey to that. But 9th balanced it very well with when to go in and then when to duck out, and Apudo followed it up very well. And actually, we didn't see that same cleanliness out of NZNR's Diva.
I think you bring up a good point with how Fireball wanted to protect Apudo, because contrary to popular belief, the most integral part of a Reinhardt shield-based defense, or anything composition-based on that, is actually the Reinhardt. When the Reinhardt goes down, your entire front line breaks, and everything goes into chaos. So you can protect Apudo all you want, but Apudo gets protected if Rocket stays alive. That's just by default.
But the thing is, you're not giving up protecting Apudo if you're on the ground, because you can always fly up to him. You have that ability. You're not losing anything by being on the ground. You're protecting Rocket at the same time while you're not really doing anything up. You might be stopping some shurikens, flying up at Apudo, but until someone actually goes up there, you're not needed up there.
Yeah, let's be frank, there were some obvious holes in the defense. You're right, look, maybe it'll work against another team, not going to work against Flash Wolves there. And part of that is also the strength of Flash Wolves, and I kind of want to speak to that side of the equation as well here, because even on Fireball's attack, like I said, Bacon Jack, he hit his stride at one point. He was totally in his element, was going full-on hunter-killer, took out Kurlos, top of the fight, 3 times in a row, and then in the 4th fight, he was the second person to die. The only difference was Zonda was the first person to die in that one. And that it did end up being the fight that Fireball won, but it took a long time to shut down Bacon Jack. So I feel like we do also have to say that a lot of what looked like it was going quote-unquote wrong for Fireball on that Streets phase attack, and they still got it very, very far. We still feel very positively about their performance. A lot of it was actually just Flash Wolves being a very good team with very good players. And that's actually not going to be a factor against some of these other teams, let's be completely frank.
Yeah, the Fireball have to be able to identify where the holes are as well. And if you're Kurlos and you're saying, look, being picked out multiple times at the start of a fight, you have to
Can I get a diva around here?
You have to be, well, not even a diva, but you need to be able to stick and buddy up with your Lucio, because look, when we've talked to multiple teams, you look at previous interviews where Sinclair and Realman have been interviewed, and Sinclair especially, the question's been asked, how does he stay alive? Well, his Lucio buddy Realman is the one keeping him up. And this is a specific question posed when they were playing against Blank. How do they get rid of Trill? How do they get rid of the Winston aggro and keep their support backline safe? And Realman says, look, as a Lucio, I can hold off their team on my own. And that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, look, so far Fireball, it is 0-2, but this is actually kind of one of those series where I feel at the end we're going to say, no matter what the result is, we're going to say the result does not tell the whole story. Because the story so far has very much been, Fireball have impressed us. They are, like we said, arguably most improved. Look, there are still things to fix. That's true of every single team. But they're a team I now feel confidently will fix those things. It may not even happen by the end of this tournament, but this is a team with a long future and a good future.
Also, I was actually watching during the fight. I found out what happened to that Transcendence. That
happened right at the start. It came really early.
Right? Jongi was all over him, beating the heck out of him, pushing him away from that. You might be invincible, but you can still be knocked back. So he was back at point A or something using Transcendence because of that. But the point of that is that he was nowhere near his team, and that is where he ended up.
There was this interesting window there as well, and I have to say, I think this is the only time Fireball didn't really pounce on a window of opportunity that was presented to them, where because of how they'd won the preceding fight, Flash Wolves weren't very ideally set up. Their DPS had kind of gone into retreat, and Realman was stuck off to the side, and they were right in position. Apudo there with his Dragon Blade. They had, like we saw, Kurlos very deep, had the Transcendence available. Everything was actually set up for them if they wanted to pounce on it, and Flash Wolves were very much in damage control mode. I feel like they could have gone for a fight there.
I mean, it's possible, but again,
open up with the Dragon Blade, pick the healer. These things were possibilities.
You can see how much Flash Wolves will punish over aggression, though.
Yeah,
is the
well,
problem.
In any case, it is certainly not over yet. Still one more map to go, and it will be Flash Wolves' pick. It will be Assault, but we're going to be getting that after a brief break. You got just enough time for a cup of tea. We'll see you on the other side. Welcome back. Hope you didn't spill any of your hot tea on yourself as you legged it from the kettle to here. But in any case, thanks for coming on back. And while you were gone, the map has been locked in. Of course, like I said, going to Assault. We're going to be hitting up Volskaya Industries, keeping it chilly here. Fireball, maybe this is the natural counter to them, the cold weather. I don't know.
Maybe. I actually think a more appropriate counter is when we go on to Volskaya, this is what Flash Wolves are now have shown what they're really good at.
I'm sorry, what was that Reinhardt doing? How does that...
I think they put
Custom games, really slow charge, no cooldown. And speaking of no cooldown, we're going to Volskaya, it's really cold there.
It's actually maxed out cooldown.
Yeah. No, you can't cool down any further than that. You're just fully cold now. Fireball though, Fireball look pretty hot at the moment, I gotta say, but
They really
Flash
do.
Wolves look just a little bit hotter, and that's enough to get them the win. Now, this is why I think we're going to Volskaya, because you need a really good coordinated team to pull off the Sombra defense here, and that is what Flash Wolves are. They've shown time and time again they can get this, and they can get it very right. Sinclair has been fantastic on the Sombra. Now, when we look at the Fireball side, now I'm not even saying, I don't want to say, look, you have to run the Sombra. It's not a requirement, but it is now the trend, and if you want to go there and you're not prepared, you don't have that composition refined, you're going to run into trouble. So maybe it's a bit of a trap.
You either have to you either have to be able to run it or counter it very well. Now, I will actually say, based off Oasis, Fireball do clearly know how to counter out a Sombra comp. A lot of it is really just unrelenting pressure. Don't give the Sombra time to set up. That's very hard though when the Sombra is on the defending side of Assault, right? And then, of course, they did also lose that Sombra second time we came to University. But I feel like it's a very real possibility here that we're going to maybe even go to Time Bank, actually.
The thing is, Fireball are just a team that run basically one of two compositions. There doesn't seem to be too much variation in there. We saw one of those on King's Row in the first point. After that, they went back to their stock standard Rocket on Winston dive composition. Doesn't seem to be too much room to throw in something like a Roadhog or a McCree, and some of the success we've seen teams actually find on the first point attacking Volskaya is putting a McCree in there, putting a Roadhog in there, because you do end up fighting in that tight stairwell where the big health pack is. The Sombra is happy to fight there. If you can get a pick there with a flashbang, with a hook, a lot of teams have found success that way. Also, just finding a kill on the Sombra right at the start is also great, as she comes in to get poke damage onto herself to charge up her ult even faster.
It's funny, because actually Fireball's strongest McCree and their strongest Roadhog is Apudo. And we have seen Apudo play phenomenally on McCree. I mean, one of the first times we ever saw him where he really came out dressed to impress was on that McCree. So that part of the option does exist, but yeah, you're right. The question really still is, how do they fit the rest of the team around that? In any case, thank you very much, Smite. We'll see you on the other side of this one. Get warm while we go chill out in Volskaya.
The other thing you got to consider about control, sorry, not even control, on assault maps in general is the amount of
It's like control, but the target keeps
set
moving.
up. Yeah, well, you get the two controls. The amount of setup and the amount of coordination. You have to get that second cap. This is a real test for attacking teams, not so much for defending teams. If defense is just standard, but for attacking teams, the best attacking teams are going to have no problem here. But if you've got any weakness in your attack, if you've got any weakness, any holes there, you're going to struggle. And if we get a repeat of that performance from Fireball on Street Phase on King's Row, I don't know that they're going to get the second cap. Not against a super good Sombra defense that Flash Wolves do and currently bring out.
Yeah, the real challenge is going to be how Fireball play this first engage, because that is your biggest window against Sombra. After that, it gets very easy for her to get set up and entrenched. Rocket actually getting very hard pressure on that far side of this one. Good work by Bacon Jack to give Sinclair more time.
Oh, Sinclair already choked out.
Never mind that. Your time is up, Sinclair. He is going to be able to get some good charge on the ultimate from that. Unfortunately, not securing the kill. So Fireball do have to find another opening now, another opportunity, as that EMP is a little closer.
And they are restricted for time. Don't forget, there is a time limit for this. You wait too long, Sombra does get the EMP. This duel is so important. If this gets won by Incident, this could be the entire opening.
Oh, great use of the translocate to get back onto the health pack, to get that tiny little bit extra. Won the duel. EMP is now there. Window is shut, and now it is an uphill fight for Fireball.
Up the hill, and that's exactly where Fireball heads, straight up the stairs. A couple of them already suicide very smartly, so they understand they cannot win this anymore. They do get a Dragon Blade out of zone to minimal kills, though, and minimal kills overall for Flash Wolves. We've said before, Fireball, they look like they know how to minimize losses. When we looked at King's Row defense, they got out mostly safe. This time around, a couple of them got the suicide before Flash Wolves were able to fully collapse. So still, Fireball, damage control looks good, but unfortunately, they are up a hill now. Sombra defense in full effect.
I think one of the big things here is Enzanar needs to get his pulse bomb, and he should really probably look for Sinclair with that as well. Sinclair will have an EMP before long. Do not let that 70% deceive you. Sombra gets that ultimate so fast.
one good health pack, one huge health pack, 200 health, I suppose would be able to charge that one back up. So again, Fireball, they've got to go up against the Sombra EMP. It's not a matter of if it's going to come out, when is it going to come out,
very
and what is the
early
effect.
is when, and there's already the collapse by Flash Wolves. Very well done by them, right on top of Fireball, who weren't even set up and ready for the fight, which means they can't even go into the retreat to all jump off the edge. They do draw out an extra ultimate from Flash Wolves, they'll be happy with that, but once again, EMP will be available before the second fight, or this next fight rather, breaks out. In Fireball, the window is no longer open and may never be again.
Well, they get a small window every single time between each EMP usage. It's a very tiny window that they got to get every single person through. They got 5 ultimates, nearly 6. This is now their opportunity. They got to be able to get this fight started right now.
They're already trying to get into this one. The EMP wasn't quite there yet, and they're starting to get some
and it won't be
kills.
there.
That is very important. Apudo needs to get some health back in this one and can maybe open up to the Dragon Blade. They're on the point, and actually Apudo is here to cut off the reinforcements. He needs to do a great job of it though, and they need to secure some further kills, ideally onto Zonda, who is waiting for his team before he opens out with the Dragon Blade. He's very stuck here. Actually, Apudo, he's kind of holding his own for now, and I mean, the more people that come to deal with him, the less there are actually on this point trying to deal with that. Now Flash Wolves come into the points. 9th out of the mech. That's a good opening. Zonda going very big on this one. Rocket with the ult, but they're getting the kills through.
Nice
Fireball.
corner.
Fireball, what has happened here? They haven't made anything happen of their dominance on this point. Didn't actually get 2/3. They are finally getting some return kills onto the tanks, but they don't have enough healing to keep going on this one. They're going to have to try and drag this one out, but there's no one even here to do that as they send Rocket into full retreat. And Flash Wolves, they were given far too much time to rally. They were allowed to come back.
And unfortunately, Apudo spent so long in the back lines, couldn't get anything done. He was pressured out, looking for health packs for a moment there. It looked like Apudo had better health pack control than Sinclair, but all for the wrong reasons, unfortunately. And now EMP, the same story again. This is just history repeating itself.
Gentleman's duel there, won by Bacon Jack by the sliver of a health bar. And again, Flash Wolves looking all over this one. No time left in the bank for Fireball. The last member on the point is going to get trained down. There may not even be any overtime for them here. That is devastating.
The Flash Wolves, like I said before, their Sombra defense is so well played. They know exactly what they need to do here. The one word I've used before, but it so perfectly describes it, has got to be refined. They know exactly the limits of their defense. And even when Sinclair was taken out, even when Fireball had their best opportunity to get in there, they were unable to get it across the line, and now it's going to be their turn to defend it. I've already said, Volskaya, this is the big trap for Fireball because, look, Flash Wolves know, you got to be super coordinated on this defense to pull it off. I don't even know if Fireball are going to go there. I don't know if they even want to play it, but if they do they have what it takes to be able to pull the defense off? And if they don't have what it takes, what else are they going to run, and is it going to be enough?
Yeah, well, we've already seen they weren't actually able to quite deal with that Sombra comp. Look, they had a fight that should have been a victory. They had the 2 picks on a DPS and a tank. Notably among those was that Sombra. No EMP there. There were very few ultimates on the table. And I don't even know what happened. It's like they just failed to apply the pressure there when they should have and could have. They just sort of sat around the point for a while going, oh yeah, I guess we'll just keep shooting some shots.
That and Apudo was just missing.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Apudo MIA behind enemy lines, but...
Black Hawk down.
Yeah, Blackwatch Genji down. So, I suppose the question isn't just can Fireball play Sombra, and we already doubt that. The real question is, can they play it well enough to deal with Flash Wolves, who are incredibly good at running Sombra themselves, and I guarantee you will know all about how to counter it.
And just like the Reinhardt defense we saw from Fireball already, if they're not, if they weren't even well prepared enough to run that, I don't want to see them now running this Sombra defense without the proper preparation. And it could end up costing them really badly, but I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I want to believe, especially in Kurlos, who, you know, he's been one of the few players on the team that has really made a big step up, but unfortunately, so far in the series, he's been really in a bad spot.
And look at that. That is that Roadhog we're talking about that helps you get that good early pick onto the Sombra. Also running with a, with a Widowmaker here. If they do get headshot,
yep, there it is.
Shiver me timbers. That was so gross. I was going to say, if you just one-shot someone, they can't get health packs, they can't actually charge
There are
up the
good
Sombra
trades.
ultimate, or you could just kill the Sombra. There are some good trades coming out because Apudo is very well positioned, but Bacon Jack is pressuring out the rest of these guys. They've got Ninth out of the mech. Rocket's only just respawned. Kurlos is legging it back to the point. Flash Wolves, they're going to try and clean up before they fully commit to closing out on this point. Actually, they kind of need to go for it now. Bacon Jack a little bit caught behind enemy lines.
Yeah, no health packs either.
Yeah, oh dear, he's pulling an Apudo. They kind of,
Not even that, Apudo hunts him down.
they didn't actually close on that at all. They really had the opportunity.
This is the bad ending of Black Hawk Down where he doesn't make it out.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
I just referenced a movie that I hadn't even seen. That's a good pick onto Rocket though for the opener on this one, and they deal with the other tank as well. That makes it very hard for Kurlos to charge up that ultimate. Now they're going to go Hunter Killer onto the healers themselves. Who's going to be first? In Southex, Flash will set up on this point. And it's going to be,
They're fighting over the kills. It's like, I want the Dragon Blade kill again. No, here's the hook.
Yeah, well, Eugene makes an appearance at the end, and Flash Wolves pick that up really easy. That snipe onto the Sombra was just like, that was, have your cake and eat it too. It's, you can either headshot another guy and the Sombra can't charge up the ultimate, or you can, you can catch out the Sombra with the Roadhog hook, or you can just do it both with one guy.
I mean, that's it. Right after that kill, unfortunately, the map was over for me. At that point, it was Fireball playing damage control, and Fireball have done a great job of playing damage control. Even then, they got enough counter picks to sort of last it out for at least another fight.
I mean, I was surprised.
But that's about all they got.
Yeah, I was surprised Flash Wolves didn't win it right there and then. I feel like they could have and maybe should have, but like you said, it almost didn't matter, right? The game was over from that shot getting connected, right? They didn't have an opportunity to build up the Sombra ultimate. They didn't have the opportunity to control the ground, control the health packs. Like you said, it was damage control there, and Sombra's not a damage control champion. Sombra is, let's play a 5 versus 6 until we're charged up, and then it's a 6.5 versus 5. Or versus 6.
To fault Fireball just a little bit for that as well is the fact that it's not like they didn't know there was a Widowmaker. And more importantly, it's not like they didn't know where that Widowmaker was.
He wasn't even looking in that direction. It's like it completely took him by surprise.
I don't know they didn't know he was there though, because
he shot the TV. Yeah,
He shot the Diva. There's a big red line.
The only thing that would have made that funnier is if Kurlos had been invisible when that headshot connected.
Wow, that would have been...
That's actually my favorite thing ever in Overwatch, is when people accidentally kill invisible Sombras.
Accidentally.
Yeah, that would have been
Industrial
something else.
accident.
That would make the #1 play of the week, I think, if that was the case. But
Yeah, and at least Fireball would be in it still.
well, I mean, that was unfortunate because we didn't even get to see the Sombra defense. It was kind of over before it started, which is a shame because I wanted to see exactly how far Fireball could take it. How good was that defense going to be had they had the chance to fully run it? What was it going to look like? We're not even going to get the answer to that question, or maybe we will because Fireball got one more game.
Yeah, they do actually play AHQ after this. So, look, maybe they end up on Volskaya once again, or maybe they end up pulling it out.
Well, it'll be Fireball's choice.
Yeah, it will be Fireball's choice. That's the key thing. And I suppose that means it's arguably their choice to take it to Hanamura and not have Sombra really be all that necessary at all. I mean, you can, but that's really the assault map. We don't see it at all. I mean, you can, but you wouldn't.
Sombra free zone.
Yeah, it's just
No Sombras allowed.
Yeah, she couldn't get a visa for Japan. I don't know.
Well,
anyway, yeah.
Bit of a,
Well,
I mean, it's a devastating loss for
It kind of
Fireball.
is.
Any 3-0 is going to be, but that said, on King's Row, on Oasis, we were impressed by their performance. They took a stage off of Flash Wolves on Oasis. That's fantastic. They almost got it to the very end of King's Row. It was really just their defense that was lacking a little bit, and the street space, I suppose, too. But it's still, in the end, an 0-3 result. Not able to pick up a map yet.
Unfortunately not. Yeah, I think there are positives they can take away now coming up against AHQ. But I think we are still expecting it to be a 3-0 in favor of AHQ.
And I said this at the top of the match, but if it was going to be a 3-0, this is probably one of the best 3-0s Fireball has ever had.
Yeah.
In the entire duration of the OPC that they've performed in so far. This is their best 0-3, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, I will still rightfully give them a most improved award. But the thing is, we have to wait until the end of the tournament to, consider anything like that. And actually, with still this round robin not quite finished and then a whole another round robin to go after that, I see a lot of space for Fireball to continue to improve. And like I said, I don't doubt that they actually will be able to make those improvements. I mean, look, maybe they still just never beat Flash Wolves. It's a hard ask no matter who you are. It's a hard ask even if you're AHQ and blank sometimes. But maybe in the last round robin, they do take a map and they take it convincingly. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe they beat out Hong Kong Attitude. Maybe they go toe-to-toe with Matchy. Maybe they don't. But we will, from now on, always consider this to be a team that could.
I think now for Fireball, the most achievable goal for them is to beat out Hong Kong Attitude and overtake them in the standings. It is a thing that is, they're so close. Look at, they're 1 win away from equaling it
And a lot
in
of
terms
that-
of just wins, and they're 2 wins away from actually overtaking.
Yeah, a lot of that is actually that Hong Kong Attitude have not played as many matches so far as Fireball have. Also, now, player of the game has, of course, come through. It is Bacon Jack for his Tracer play. I think, like I said, well-deserved. We touched on it during King's Row. He wasn't answered, he wasn't shut down, and that was the entirety of Flash Wolves' defense, really, was just how much free reign Bacon Jack had. And frankly, Fireball not reacting to it well enough either.
I think Flash Wolves are just happy to have it not go to Jongi again. Because I'll tell you, they always complain about it. Jongi gets every MVP. Why does no one else get it? So they're just glad someone other than Jongi got it today.
Maybe like they get a reward, like if they get MVP, and like they're just sitting there like, man, I'm sick of Jongi always getting the bar of
Zonda
chocolate.
buys you dinner. Like,
Yeah, Zonda buys you dinner, yeah. And Zonda's like, I want some different dinner company for once.
What if Zonda gets
Well,
the
in any
MVP?
case, yeah, right. He just takes him out for a nice meal, takes himself out. In any case, going to go ahead and jump into an interview with the Victors Flash Wolves.
大家好，我是 Bacon Jack。
with Bacon Jack.
嘿，想要访问一下 Bacon，就是在 Fireball 的闪光，其实有给你们一些团队造成压力，对不对？
So Incident Out had a lot of pressure on you guys.
GNR 的闪光变得很不一样，
对，
因为之前我们打的时候，他的闪光都是偏正面和辅助的，而这次的闪光，我发现他很喜欢绕点，但都被我看破手脚。
啊，还就
So
算喜欢
Incident
弱
Out
点，还是被你看破手脚。
really
因为
pressured
我
our
有
supports
然后
quite
每次
well.
都是看他从我旁边经过，
And he sort of even just runs past me to get to our supports. Didn't expect him to perform
哦，
that
原
well
来是
tonight.
这样，这观
But
察还蛮细微的。
He's really
那
impressed.
我们知道说你在对上，就是大家对上 Sun Sister 的时候，其实有派出欧瑞莎加托比昂这样的组合，但是为什么对 Fireball 没有呢？
So you ran
跟大家分享一下。
Torbjorn Arista against Sun Sister, but you didn't bring it out against Fireball.
Sun Sister 的阵型是刚好可以出托比昂。
It was a special thing that we wanted to
我帮
bring
他
out
翻译
just
一
for
下
Sun
因
Sister.
为觉得可以练兵好了。
不是，真的是因为阵型关系，所以我们可以出
阵型关系是不是
托比昂。对。
好，那如果要你自己
We
排名，就是
specifically
在
wanted to
联
play
盟
the
里面
Torbjorn.，
你觉得闪光你自己排名第几？
Where do you think you rate yourself in terms of
我是觉
Tracer
得
play?
2个第一名啦。
2个第一名，所以你是其中一个，对不对？
对。第2个是谁？
I'd like to say
看大家怎么去想了。
I'm in
不
first
是，你刚不
place.
是有告诉我答案吗？
没有，要铺梗，要铺梗。
要铺梗，那我们等到下次你在表现好的时候上来再跟大家分享一下。
对。
好，那最后一个问题就是说，其实现在跟 AHQ 的战绩其实还蛮接近的嘛，会不会很期待
Still
说
pretty-
再次跟他们正面对决的时候
You're still pretty close to AHQ.
期待下次，因为下次如果再输的话就差不多了。
就差不多了。好，
We're gonna be really disappointed if we lose to
2 场
AHQ
比
again.
赛
Looking
恭
forward to
喜
that
沈
next
殿
match.
了，也谢谢 Bacon Jack 接受我们的访问。接着呢，要把时间交
Kind
给
of interesting thoughts there, I think, especially his thoughts on AHQ, because that's probably going to be one of the most significant rematches of the 4th round robin. But let's go ahead and catch up with some more members of Flash Wolves, get a more intimate look at the team.
And we got Coach Ray on the right side,
Hello，大家好，我是
and of course Zondra on the
对，
left.
这边也要问一下，先问瑞一个问题啊，因为刚才赛前有提到，就是说今天会尝试用许多角色。那在伤神你们确实有这么做，用欧瑞莎、托比亚，但是打 Fireball 第一张地图打绿洲城，好像第一张地图进行的不是太顺畅的情况之下，后面就好像非常认真。
So you
应该是
weren't
说
very good on
我没有
Oasis,
认真啊
but you got a
我
lot
没有
better later
不
on.
认真过。
我的意思是说，就没有尝试一些新的角色。
还是有啦，其实
我们有尝试啊，拿那个害影啊，
对啊，
太隐是本来就有啦，
那个是很新的，只是我们在拿。
真的吗？我看你们比赛好几场都用害影啦。
We've only really started practicing the Sombra and Oasis
工业
recently.
城
就特定啊，
也是害影
对啊，就特定啊。
但是
特定的
欧瑞莎、托比昂是今天过去比较少看到，国王大道有看到。
You also brought out
但你们
Arista
今天
Torbjorn
跟上次的
earlier
打
against
反
Sun
而是比
Sister.
较多这样的尝试。
对啊，因为没有，
你到底要怎样？
哎呦，反正我是觉得我们还是有练到东西啦。对啊，因为我们还是有比较你知道打不好的阵型，
Still trying things out at the
因为
moment.
那
with
容
that.
错率比较低一点，但是如果前面第一波守住的话，就是后面是绝对是我们的局。
好，我要问一个问题，就是中大，就是因为你算是队上的前辈，那你有非常丰富的比赛经验，那
So one of
队
the
上有
most-
一位
you're one of the more
非常强大的
experienced
输出
players
手
on there?
Bacon Jack，不管是谁讲他都觉得好像很神啊，什么什么的最强闪光啊，可是其实你们应该有非常多的一个机会是跟韩国队伍练习的。
So you play
那你觉得
against
如果
Koreans a lot?
标准，因为每个人标准不一样，以他的一个杯跟界的一个闪光，在真的你们在跟韩国队抗衡的情况之
So
下，
how does Bacon
他是
Jack
有优
compare
势
to the
的
Korean teams?
是有优势的，不过单方面来讲说，韩国的辅助其实意识跟操作是真的很强，所以他其实
Korean supports
没
are
有到
incredibly
非常
good.
好发挥，所以还是需要一点配合。
So it's
他的
still
确玩起来的话，到目前为止，我觉得他都比对面的闪光优秀许多。
so he's competing well with the other
今
tracers.
天状态非常好，不然的话，以平均实力就是水准的话，培根真的是玩的非常好。
So Bacon Jack is performing quite well in terms of just tracer, but
对，
the supports are so much better on the Korean side, which makes it
没有
difficult.
寄生于和声量这件事情。
什么东西？
对，那当然你针对你自己的一个原式呢，跟韩国原式比起来，
So how does your
当然
Genji
国队
compare
练
to
的话
Korean
其实
Genjis?
原式是非常少数，对手也会非常
We
少
actually barely play Genji
因为
against
基本
Koreans,
上大家都知道怎么针对原
and
式
they don't
所以
play
原式
Genji against us either, so it's hard to
很少
compare.
人会在拿。目前其实还是有人拿出来，因为他们有找到新的方法让原式发挥。
那你这2场比赛，我觉得看起来好像你原式好像用的稍微比较多一点。
So you brought out Genji quite a bit tonight, though.
因为我们也在测试那个新的套路。
We're
对
trying
所以
out
还是
new
要多
things
拿
with
一下
that.
对，这边我觉得要问一下教练一个问题哦，专业的啦，不要担心专业的，就是你怎么看待现在132的这样的一个套路？感觉好像
3输出吗？
对，
How did you?
你们怎么
How are you
看这样
guys
因为
figuring
感
out
觉
3 DPS right
原
now?
本最早开始是肉，
question
但肉
directed
其实
at Ray
在韩国联赛被淘汰，而且其实他们在大部分的情况之下，可能他们自己的原式不是那么稳定，他们也舍弃132这样的一个套路。那你觉得在现在这个 meta 来说的话，它还是依旧强势吗？
我觉得还是很强。
基本上你知道，
I still think it's very good in this meta.
阵容之后，韩国换了超多人，就是为了要找到会玩76又会玩闪光又会玩原始，然后又要会玩第一把。
Korean teams are very
换
flexible.
了超多人，然后辅助又要专精2样。
Their players can play a lot of different picks.
韩国换了超多人。
所以你觉得在某种程度上面，是有去做，有想要限制对方，所以在整个角色池上面有做一些调整，是这样的意思？
对。
那你觉得还是强势的原因是？
我觉得，因为通常像洛格，像以洛格为举例好了，他们就是3个都是拿 main 角出来，包含他们的坦也是，所以他们其实在对他们来讲是可以很好的发挥的，只是差别在于其实他们可能在一些像举例好了，他们跟卢纳提克打的那个影片，我们其实也有看。那我觉得双方都是有在针对对方的一些战术跟打法，还有一些细微的。东西，比如说大招的交换等等之类这种东西，对啊。那我觉得很多队伍像强都是强在一些细节上的东西啦。那其实每个人都可以用这样的阵型去打嘛，只是差别在于你对这个角色的熟悉度到底有没有专精，跟配合上，打法上，对啊。所以其实我们像我们最近也是有像这几天其实一直在拿3输出嘛，
对，
有拿3输出。那我们也是想要把这个阵型给练起来，因为我们一直认为这个阵型是很强。
We're really focusing on practicing 3 DPS right now.
我们就是也不想要
We believe it's
的一个22阵型或是什么
the strongest composition in the meta, and we don't want to be stuck playing 2-2-2.
一个问题，你知道你是被暴雪女性员工票选为最可爱选手前5名，
前5名吗？第5名吗？
前5。
I've been told that you are among the top 5 of the cutest members.
就可爱啊，那我为什么？就是觉得你可爱。那你觉得你可爱吗？
You think you're cute?
比较帅一点吧。
I think I look okay.
啊，你硬要说帅也是对啦。
And Xander kind of agrees with that.
美女吗？
那问个问题，你是现在单身吗？
Are you single? Yes, I am.
假设好，你没打那么多场比赛，那我们其实美丽的主持人有很多，有伟丽，然后有 左左，
So we have
然后还有小熊。
a lot of
你觉得
attractive
三个女生
hostesses.
哪一个是你喜欢的类型？
Who do,
他们
do you
单身
like
吗？
any of them?
不是喜
Are
欢
any
的
of them
类
single?
型，不是叫你跟他交往，
哦
就是你觉得这3个不同型，你比较喜欢哪一个类型？
Zama says the question is about like who do you like there? I'm not making this up, by the
都
way.
喜欢啊。
He says he likes them all.
你是完全不挑，是不是？就你还是会有喜欢的类型啊，都没有吗？
你现在是在钓鱼，是
没有，
不是？
不是钓鱼啊，就是我觉得这个
Zonda's saying like,
这
are
个
you trying to fish
这个
something out of
没
me
有，
right
这
now?
三个都不错。
各有优点。
对，
Zonda's saying they're all
都很
great.
好。
There's things I like about
那
all three
瑞
of them.
教练你，对啊，你觉得
And a question for Ray again.
不是长
哎，
相。
说得好，说得好。
对啊，不是说长得漂亮就一定合得来吗？
Ray
但
says
你
it's not all
喜欢
about
哪一个
looks.
嘛，那个类型嘛，不是叫你们要挑女朋友，只是说你们比较偏向喜
对啊，
欢哪
所以我
个类型
讲啦，
就感觉
光看我刚看类型，光看这样子比对没有用，我还是看感觉。
He says
他意思是说
he
这
wants
三个他
to
都不喜欢
see what the feelings are like as well. It's not all about the
这样
outside
讲
looks.
对啊
啊，这个
认识才知道。
那我们下一题啊，我觉得这一题你们好像有点难回答。对，另外一个问题其实也要问一下，就是当然对于你们来讲，现在非常强大，因为你们连胜记录，你们知道你们连胜已经快要突破联赛记录，你们现在是11连胜 ，HQ 是12，所以你们在2场就已经突破。那你们虽然现在感觉就是整个程度上面都已经到达一定的水准，那教练或者中打你怎么看？就是队伍里面应该还是有一些地方需要加强，那个地方你觉得是什么？
Where do you feel like you still need to prove on,
需要
even
加
though
强
you're
哦。
currently at the top?
主要是我们的进攻会有一点问题。
会有一点问
对
题。
我们没办法，就是打的，就是非常积极的打主动，必须要先打出对方的破绽，才有办法进攻。对，然后这些破口都是由我跟培根去做。
不是重击，也不是 K 某某。
对，因为他们这2只角色其实有办法去发挥，但是那个细节的配合上要做到超好，才有办法。
So we're still trying to find out the weaknesses on our DPS, specifically for
我觉得其实
myself.
很多都要
They
加
can
强
check.
我们其实很多细节都做的没有那么好，因为其实跟韩国队练就会发现到嘛，你一样的阵型打出来，人家细节就是做比我们好。
We
那我
we
们
find a lot
就
of
是忽略掉
weaknesses
那些细节
playing against
所以其实
Korean teams.
我是觉得我们每个人都还有很多进步的空间。
I think all of our players have
只是
areas
需
to
要一
improve
点
on.
时间啊
We need a little bit
对啊
more
那如
time.
果这些细节做好，我觉得我们会超强。
And once we
讲到两
once we really
他留下来。
fix small areas,
好沉
we'll
重
be a
哦
much
没
better
有
team.
啦
这是很沉重的问题啊
对啊，
对啊
这很沉重啊。
问一个问题，就是说你们平常休假的时候有什么休闲娱乐？
Alright, what do you guys do in your off time?
没有其
I
他
like to eat,
没有了。
吃东西、看电影、
看电影、
eat
看片
and watch movies.
电影啊，
电影啊，
看片还是看电影？
电影
电影啊，
看3D 的还是
三，
日本
看
文艺
3D 吧
动作片那一种？
没有，我们看
就是
美
我们
国。
公司旁边就
We
电影
watch
院
American movies.
对，很方便。
对啊，
喜欢看日本文艺动作片吗？
You would like to watch anime? Sometimes,
我干嘛？我没。
not
我
really.
都看那个科幻片。
好，科幻片。好，那问一下 Ronda 最后一个问题，就是你可以分享一下，就是你自己的一些设定吗？比如说你的滑手速度多少，然后你的 DPI 多少，然后你在游戏里面设定多少，然后是不是里面有一些角色你会去做滑手速度的微调？
这就是重点了。我其实你们只要来我的实况台，都看得到。对，我每天大概9点10点之后就会开实况，来我实况台就可以一一的找到很多你想要的东西。
你这个回答很好。
很
He's
好吧
saying his day starts
在
at
这边
9
我
to
讲，我
10.
真的讲不出来，因为有那么多角色嘛。
对，
然后那个
但是
灵敏
如果
度都是0点，
如果大方向来讲，你真的每一只都会做一点点微调。
我都会做啊，因为每个感觉都不一样，然后每个角色的高度都是不一样，这你应该知道。
对，
因为每只角色它有身高嘛，那个表的位置会不一样。
好，那我觉得就是今天来了很多粉丝，
嗯
最后
Got all the
有什么
fans here
话要
today.
对你喜欢的女生说，
What would you like to give a message to your
你喜
female
欢你喜
fans?
欢的粉丝说，
就谢谢各位粉丝来现场帮我们加油。
Thanks to all the
你要
fans
看
that
着
are
那
here to
边
support
啊
us.
看着我干嘛诚恳
谢谢
Xander says you have to say that while looking at the
对
camera.
那瑞呢
我每次都问我这个问题，我的还是一样啊，就当然谢谢啊。
You ask me the same question a lot, but
希
you know,
望就是每一场比赛都
I
能
sort of give the same answer, which is, you know,
对。
thank you again and thank you for supporting our team. And
粉丝是我们 最大的动力之一。
And we
好，那
really
谢谢
appreciate
两
our
位接
fans
受我
and
们访问，那也希望你们
put a
继
lot of focus
续
on our
的
fans.
缔造你们的一个连胜记录。我们跟观众说拜拜喽。
好，拜拜。
Well, when I said a more intimate look, I'll be honest, that wasn't quite what I was expecting. In any case,
You got what you wanted.
yeah, well, in a way. Well, in any case, I'm hearing a lot about this this top 5 cutest players. By the way, I'm kind of curious about that.
No,
but-
one was
Zetman's in the top
one.
Yeah,
Zetman's in like a top 5 for being handsome or something like that.
Yeah.
Zonda's in a different
top
one
5
for being
cutest,
cute.
yeah.
I think.
Are
Yeah,
they
well,
not the same one?
I mean,
It's not the
I don't know.
same one.
Maybe it is. Maybe in any case, well, there we go. One of the top 5 cutest boys of the OPC is indeed single. Ladies, get your ins in now. But that is that for Flash Wolves picking themselves up a handy 2-3-0 wins. They'll be happy with that one. More score inflation for themselves, but the real test will come in the last round robin where they will face up against AHQ and Blank one more time. And we are going to go to a quick break before we round out the day with Fireball versus AHQ Esports Club. And during that break, hit us up on Twitter at @fullcircle_ES and let us know your top 5 cutest OPC players. That's us for now. We'll be back in a few minutes, so don't go anywhere.